Hello everyone, this is Scorpion from How to Do. This is the second video on how to make GTA in Unity for Android, and in this video you will be learning how to make basic controls and movement system for the player. And yeah, alright, so in this previous video we found these animations, so idle, run and walk. Oops, there we go. And we also did some settings in here, and yeah, that's that. And then we also downloaded Playmaker, and we also downloaded how to do touch system. So we were ready in the previous video. If you haven't seen the previous video, I will have the link in the description box below, so you make sure you see that one, because that will help you a lot. And yeah, let's get started. What you have to do is you have to make a plane so that our character can stand on it. I'm gonna reset the position so that it's right in the center of the scene, and I'm not gonna worry about the camera right now. Let's just let it be like that. And then what we have to do is we have to drag in our character. So I'm gonna just go ahead and drag and drop my idle animation character over here, and as you can see, this one is the one which we found in the previous video. Looks good, looks cool, and yeah. So let's just go ahead and rename it to player, and as you can see already there is the animator on it. Alright, so which means this guy has the animations and all that. And in here we have mixed more hips and all the legs, and these are actually deboning and the rigging and for animation, so you don't have to worry about this, and we don't have to worry about anything right now. But as you can see, there is no animator controller over here, so it's empty. So we have to make an animator controller in here. So let's just go ahead and say create and an animator controller, which will control, of course, all the animations. Let's just call it player, because it will handle the animations for the player. So let's just go to animator. If you don't have it, go to window and you will find this animator over here. Click that and you will find this animation window. Cool. Now what we can do is we can select all of three of them and drag in it here. So as you can see, there are three animations: idle, run forward and walk. Alright, so by default the idle is set to the default layer, which is set as default state. If you don't want the idle to be, or if you have something wrong, like if your walk is set to the default state, then you can also change it, like right click to the idle state and say set as default state, and there we go, it is now the default state. So whenever the game will start, our player will be in the idle state. Alright, and then what we can do is we can make transition from idle to walk and walk to idle. So like that, just right click, make transition like this and make it over here. Alright, just make it once, and then select the walk and make transition from walk to idle too. So that's cool. And now we select the arrows. You can see there are some options in here in the inspector. So if you click this one, which goes from idle to walk, we can see there is a tab for conditions. Alright, so if we press plus, there is it says parameter does not exist. So what does it mean? Well, if we need a parameter to add in this condition, and this condition will tell to transition from this state to this state. Alright, and to make the parameter we have this tab over here, and we can say plus, and there are four options. It's float, there is a int, there's an int, there is a bool, and there is a trigger. There's a trigger. Alright, so float is actually a value with some point. Alright, 1.1, 2.2, 3.5, like that. And the int is only one integer, like 1, 2, 10, without any points. Alright, and bool is either true or false, and trigger is same like bool, true or false, but it can be true when it false, and when it's true, the game will kind of like, if it's true, or either it's false. It's not like true and then becomes false, but we are not discussing that. We only need a float, and we're gonna say float. Let's just name the float magnitude, and I'm gonna tell you why I set it magnitude. So we come back to the arrow and transition, and we can select this arrow over here and add magnitude in here. So as you can see now, it makes a condition. So condition is magnitude greater than or less than some value, which means when the magnitude, which is now 0, becomes greater than or less than some value which we enter over here, then the animation from this state will convert or transition to this state. All right. So if you're confused, I'm gonna right now I'm gonna tell you guys what it means. So let's just go ahead and write 0.1 in this case. Let's just for now say it. So if magnitude is greater than 0.1, we are gonna transition from idle to walk. Right? But before we do anything, we're gonna select the player, and in here you can see there is nothing in here, the controller. So we're gonna select this button kind of thing, the knob thing, and then we're gonna select the player animator controller, which we just made over here. All right, so we added this animator controller to there. All right, and the second thing what you need to do is you need to select the transitions and make sure the has exit time is off in both of them, because has exit time means the animation will play through all of it and then transition. All right, and we don't want that. We want to transition from any point of the animation right to the walk. All right, just like that. And we don't want the walk to play fully and then come back. We don't want that. So make sure you do that. Uncheck the exit time, and yeah. And now I'm gonna go ahead and take this animator controller and put it on down here, so that we can see the player over here. So if I'm gonna play the game, and if I play the game, there we go. And if I come back to the scene view, you can see in the animator window 2, you can see the player is doing the idle animation. All right, and it's gonna loop because we have set the animation to loop in the previous video. So if you haven't seen the previous video, click the link in the description box below and see that first. So the idle is doing the player is doing the idle. All right, and the condition says if the magnitude, which is now 0.0, is greater than 0.01, which means if I add 0.02, the player is now gonna start to walk. There we go, it's walking. It's also walking on the nothingness, but of course we're gonna fix that. I just wanted to tell you guys that what it means, the condition. So if I come back and set it to 0 again, it's not gonna work. Why? Because I have not set it to set the back transition to any condition, right? Okay, so I think you know what I mean right now. So if we increase this number, the player will start to transition between animations, right? So of course we have to do the same condition over here, and let's just go ahead and set it to 0.1. all right, and do the same thing but the opposite way. So magnitude is less than 0.1, then it's gonna go back to idle. All right, now it's pretty good. So which means if I come back and do the same thing again to tell you guys what it actually works. So now if I set the magnitude to 1, the player gonna start to walk, and if I set it to 0, it's gonna stop. All right, so now you know how the player works, the animation works. And now what we have to do is we have to just control this value of the magnitude through the code, and the player will start to walk and stop and do the idle animation. And to do that, we just don't have to write any code. All right, we have the playmaker. So if you don't have playmaker, and if you don't know what playmaker is, go ahead, click the link in the description box below and see my previous video, so that you know how to download playmaker and install it. All right, and when you do that, you will see in the add component, go to player and say add component and say FSM, and there you can see playmaker FSM is over here. So just double click that, and we can set the name to player movement. All right, and then you have to say edit, and this is the playmaker. All right, So right now my player is a prefab. You won't be able to see this one, so let me just go ahead and do that. You don't have to worry about that right now. Okay, we will just leave that. So this is the playmaker. So as you can see, here is start and stage 1. So which means if I play the game, it will just transition to the stage 1. So which means when the game starts, this stage 1 will execute. Alright, so what we have to do in the stage 1, we have to get this magnitude from the animator, right? So to open these actions, you can either click this action browser, or you can just double click in this area. So open it up just like that. So now you can see there are different categories, and in each category there are different actions of the playmaker, and this will help us make the game, all right, without writing any code. So animator, because we have to take something from the animator, right? And that thing is the float, right? We made the parameter float magnitude, so we have to take the animator float. So as you can see, there are two options: get animator float or set animator float. So of course we want to get that, so double click that, and there we go. The game object that has the animator controller is the user owner, right? So the player here has the animator controller, and in that animator controller we have this magnitude, the animator float, right? So we gonna set the game object as user owner, because the user owner has the animator controller. And then the parameter is, let's just go ahead and just write, we have to type it in. So make sure you do not do any kind of spelling mistakes. So better is to just copy the name and paste it in here. There we go. And we're gonna set it to every frame, so which means in every frame the value of the magnitude will update. All right, the value of the magnitude will update, and we have to store this magnitude in some kind of a variable. So we're gonna make the new variable and call it animator magnitude. Right, so now the variable animator magnitude is a float, and it is holding the value of the magnitude, the animator magnitude. All right, so what it means, I'm gonna tell you guys that go to variables, and I'm gonna go ahead and click inspector, so that we can see the animator magnitude which we just made over here in the inspector window. So now it is the value of animator magnitude is 0. So if you play the game right now, and if you go to animator, so now the value of magnitude is 0, right? And so the value of the animator magnitude is also 0. So if we set the value of the animator magnitude to 1, the same goes for this one. If I set this value to 2, this will also set it to 2. Look at this value only. And if I set it to 4, it all snaps to 4. So what value of the magnitude will be, the magnitude of this will also change. All right, so we're going to use this technique to change the move between animations. All right, so we have got that, and now what we want to do is we want to move our character. All right, or in order to change this, we want to change this magnitude somehow. So what we're going to do is we're going to say get axis vector. All right, and then you will see to get axis vector, there is simple get axis vector and get axis vector, and there is a how to do get axis vector. Now if you want to make an Android game, you need how to do get axis vector, and if you don't see this, then it means you haven't seen my previous video, and you haven't imported this thing over here, how to do touch system. So if you don't have that, you can also click the link in the description box below and download my touch system, and yeah, import it and do that. So these are the two scripts which I made for the Android, and you have to select the get axis vector. All right, and if you have any confusion, go ahead and see my previous video on that is the first video on GTA series, Android series, and I have explained all of that in the previous video. So and when we do that, it is set to horizontal and vertical. What does that mean? When well, if we go to edit project settings input, I am just gonna show you what it means. You don't have to do anything in here, and there you can see there are two things, horizontal and vertical. Horizontal and vertical. All right, horizontal and vertical. Well, these are up down WASD. all right, WASD. AD is horizontal and SW is vertical. So horizontal vertical is WASD, and yeah, all right. So when you do the how to do touch system, you will also see these two horizontal and verticals extra ones, which are for the Android version. All right, they don't have any WASD, but they are set for the joystick. All right, okay, so come back in here and we want to store that vector. What is a vector? Well, vector is made up of three floats, X, Y, and Z. So it actually is a direction. All right, and it will tell us which direction is the player trying to move the character. All right, so we're gonna store that in a variable called a vector and create that variable. All right, so now the direction that is from the joystick, which we are going to just place, it will be stored in vector. And also we will store the magnitude, which means how much the player is or moving the joystick. All right, how much. So we're gonna store it in new variable called magnitude, or just mag for short. And yeah, so this is the magnitude which we are getting from the player, and this is the animator magnitude which we are getting from the animator. And now we have to converge them or we have to use this magnitude value and place this magnitude value into that magnitude value, so that we can transition between the animations. All right, I hope you're getting what I'm saying. So now what we're gonna say is set animator float. Set animator float, and the float which we're gonna set is the same one, the magnitude, Control C and Control V, and the value which we're gonna set it is the magnitude which we are getting from the player, the joystick. All right, and the joystick I'm gonna just place it right now, just a second, but yeah, and every frame, so that it updates every frame. And that's it. And let's come to the scene view, and now we have to place the joystick. So let's just go ahead and search joystick, and there you can see some things in here. So there are three prefabs in here, and you can see one is joystick canvas setup. So I'm gonna go ahead and drag and drop it in here, and if you press F, you can see these two joysticks in here. And if you go to the game view, you can see these two joysticks. All right, okay, and we can also set only one joystick, which is this one. This is the only one joystick, but we don't want that. We want two joysticks, so there are two joysticks. All right, okay, great, there we go. So in order to make this joystick look better, like if you go to the game view, they're not set right like they should be, like they're over here in these corners. In order to fix that, you have to come to canvas scaler script and change the constant pixel size to scale with screen size, and as you can see, there we go, it fixes. All right, there you go. You can also set it like this, or you can increase and decrease the width and height, but in my case it's already set, so I'm not gonna change anything. And let's see if the joysticks are set up or not. So as you can see, both the joysticks are set up. So the one joystick, which is this one, if you go to scene view, this joystick is set to horizontal and vertical. All right, already, so we don't have to do anything. And I think if we go to the game and play, it should work. Oh, well, it is actually working, and we're gonna fix that. But if I take the scene view and find my player if I can. Select the if your view is right out like that and you cannot, and your player is over there, so you're gonna go in there like that, it's gonna take some time. So you have to select your player and press F, and it's gonna just snap to your player. All right, so there we go. As you can see, if we move the joystick a little bit, it's gonna move. There we go. So notice over here the value is 0, and over here, and if I increase it, and when it increases to 0.1, the player starts to move. There we go. All right, but the direction is not specified, and whenever we do that, the player is gonna just move in one direction. So we don't want that, right? So we have to fix that too, but something is working, right? So that's cool. So snap the scene over there. Okay, now we come back in here and see what we have to do. Well, we have the direction. At least we know where the player is moving the joystick, so we can simply go ahead and say direction, and there's some different options in here. We can say smooth look at direction, that's the simplest one, so I'm gonna close that. Game object which we want to rotate is the user owner, which is the player, so we don't have to change that. Target direction is the direction which we are getting from the joystick, which we stored in the vector over here, and we're gonna use that. Minimum magnitude, we don't need to do anything with that. Keep vertical, I don't know what it is but I don't know. We can fix it later. I don't know what it is actually, sorry. Late update, I don't know. We can just play the game and see what happens, right? Believe me, that's the best idea. Okay, so is it working? Oh yes, it is. So as you can see, the player is rotating in the direction which we are pointing the joystick, right? And if we say keep vertical, nothing actually happens because we are moving in horizontal, like we are not getting up and down, right? So it doesn't matter. And late update, let's see what it is. Well, nothing. So actually nothing affects us, and of course nothing happens with this joystick too. Let's go to the canvas and joystick, and as you can see, there is an option called snap to fingers, and we're gonna disable that, and same goes for the other one. And if you play now, you will see they will remain on their position, so they're not gonna snap to where we click or where we point our fingers in the Android version, but they're gonna remain in the same position. And now you can also change their position if you want, like go select F, and you can also change their position, but do not change it like this, because this is this boundary is the, you know, tells this is the left side and this is the right side. So if you play, you will see that if I press it over here, this joystick will work, right? But if I click over here, this joystick will work. So this is the boundary which tells which is over here. So if you bring it over here, then they will overlap, and that will, you know, cause some really trouble. Let's see what happens. Well, you can see both of them are working. Of course they will. So that will not, of course, be good. So in order to change the position of the joystick, you have to come inside and click both of them, and then you have to drag and drop so that the actual thing remains there. All right, but in my case it is good, so I don't need to do anything. And yeah, that solves the joystick problem. Alright, so that's it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed my video. If you did, then subscribe to my channel, which is how to do. And the next video will be on how to make the running system in this game. And if you haven't seen my previous video, go ahead, click the link in the description box below. And yeah, if you want to support me, you can also donate me some money through PayPal. The link to that will also be in the description box below. And yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video.